Your mouse is dead and the computer is on life support. Benjamin Rockwell can help with that. Guiding you on your computer quest, here is Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
I totally found out about a cool record that's being released. Are you familiar with the Voyager series? The satellite, well, not really satellites, the spaceships that we sent out in the 70s? Well, they each had a record made out of gold and instructions on how to make a record player. And yeah, somebody for the 40th anniversary has received permission to make a whole bunch of, well, they're actually gold-colored vinyl records. I thought that was so cool. I couldn't wait to tell you about that. When I found that out, I thought that was absolutely great. It's a Kickstarter project. It's $100 for each record. But anyways, we'll be talking more about Kickstarter and the experiences that Gareth of Rockwell Razors had. That'll be next. Later on this hour, we're going to talk about another space topic. Yes, we're going to be talking about Elon Musk. We're going to have Keith M. Sedor here and the rest. Let me give you out the phone number. It's 888-NERD, 888. That's 888-6373. 888. And the website, of course, computertalkradio.com. Computertalkradio.com. And let's do what we always do in the first segment, or almost always. We talk the news. And there is a lot of stuff that's happened in the news and then unhappened. This very first item, Hewlett-Packard started off earlier this week. They released a big, huge update to a bunch of computers out there, and they kind of updated their printers, and their printers were, well, they were set to deny you the right to use refilled ink cartridges. Yeah, refilled. You know, people go and they'll put in their own ink. That's a common thing, of course. Also, third-party toners and ink cartridges. So you go to Staples and there's the HP brand and then there's the Staples brand. Well, they really shut it down. They said, nope, these aren't official HP cartridges. And a lot of people freaked out. They said, are you kidding me? We ordered these. We've got, in my case, I'm going to give you my case. Now, I order all authentic items. The reason for that, me personally, I've had a few bad experiences with refilled and with third party, so I don't bother with it. We have the budget to do the real stuff, so that's what I do. However, I have at any given point in time anywhere from depending on which printer, which toner, for instance. I'll tell you, with the 78As. We keep 4 of those on hand. When we get down to 2, I'm getting kind of late on reordering. So I will reorder a number of those. Same with the 12As. These are nice little small printers, but even on the larger printers, I always make sure that I have at least one spare on hand. Now, I'll tell you, that racks up very quickly. My toner orders every month are about $1,000. Because I'm ordering for a number of different printers that we have throughout the company. Yes, we do have copiers as well, and we keep a lot of copier toners on hand, all from the same company. We not from HP. The copiers are a different brand, but you've got the idea. That can hurt. That can hurt a company pretty bad. For us, I took a rough estimate. I said probably about $5,000 to $6,000 in toner. We would, if we had the third-party stuff, that we'd have to just say no. Now, sorry for going so long on this, but the story has changed. It took them all of 2 days to come to their senses. 2 days for them to go, wow, people really didn't like this. Quote, we should have done a better job of communicating about the authentication procedure to customers, and we apologize. End quote. Wow, that was political speak, of course. That was PR speak for whoops, We really made a big mistake. We're sorry. Yeah, there's a lot of that that's there. So here's the thing. It was an issue and now it's a non-issue. I particularly like the fact that HP, Hewlett-Packard, listened immediately and responded on a dime. They did say that it may take people up to 2 weeks for this problem to unresolve, but you can call them up. They give out a website where you can check into this, so that'll be good. One of the other things out there on the internet, the latest has come out from Intel about the most dangerous celebrities. Well, what are the most dangerous celebrities? Well, these are the people that you do not want to Google or Bing or whatever search engine you're using, Yahoo. Okay, so let me go through just the list here. The first one, Amy Schumer. I'm a little puzzled. I don't know what the big huge fascination is with Amy Schumer. For people, Justin Bieber, amazingly enough, he's number 2 on the list. He's 15%. Carson Daly is tied with Will Smith at 13.5%. Rihanna, just below that. Miley Cyrus, I can't believe people are still researching her. 12.6%. Chris Hardwick, Daniel Tosh, just below 12%. Selena Gomez and Keisha, both are tied at 11.11%. These are the folks. Google any of these, and you are going to wind up on sites that might have malware. They might have just all kinds of bad stuff there. This is not the direction you want to go in. You usually want to be very careful whenever you're doing anything like this. Another item that was particularly amazing that came out, the very first known recording of computer music. Well, it's even better than that. It's attributed to Alan Turing, the man who invented the Turing test, which basically allows us to determine if it's not really allows us to. It's what we're doing when we're testing to see if the person on the other side is real or a computer. So he also was credited for breaking the Enigma machine. So brilliant man. And what he did was he found that he could make the computer make a sound, just a click. But if you repeat it quickly enough, it would create a tone. You repeat it faster, it creates a higher tone. Repeat it slower, it makes a slower or lower tone. So he wasn't much of a musician, but he worked with another computer scientist, Christopher Strachey, who was then just a student, and they worked together and played a number of tunes. Here's a recording of it. So we know that tune as something else, but of course he's from England, so that is God Save the Queen. In other news, BlackBerry, the company which everybody keeps saying is dead, is one step closer. It amazes me. You know, I've been talking ever since I started this radio show. We're talking 7.5 years, almost 8 years ago. When I started broadcasting, I started on the air, and I said BlackBerry, it has one foot in the grave. They are going away. And yet, every time I turned around, they continued just moving forward and just kept on going. And it just amazed me and amazes me today how long they've been and the fact that they're still going. BlackBerry's CEO, John Chen, has said this past week that they're no longer going to design hardware. They're no longer going to be dealing with the hardware side of this. They're going to move into the software realm. They're going to allow other companies to make the hardware, and they'll just they'll keep supporting this. But I have no idea how, because you have to have somebody out there. Somebody has to make this hardware and keep innovating in order for you to stay in business. You have to have the hardware in order for you to run the software. Yeah, this could be a problem for them. I don't know that this is going to be good at all. I'm Benjamin Rockwell. Coming up next is going to be Gareth from Rockwell Razors. No relation, but it's a cool Kickstarter story here on Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio, so I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. I have a guest, which I'm going to bring on here in a moment, and the company name is Rockwell Razors. Yes, they're no relation to me at all whatsoever. I do like their name. And this is something that we're going to talk to them about their Kickstarter experience this week. And in a few weeks out, we're going to bring them back, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the technology that goes into shaving, but on a different level than you've probably ever imagined. Gareth, this entire experience that you guys have here with Kickstarter and just the experiences of bringing a product to market are just downright amazing. Tell me how you started off with this entire project.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kickstarter for Rockwell Razors really came from an interest while I was in university, college up in Canada, and really wanting to get into entrepreneurship, but recognizing that as a young student, it can be challenging to launch a company nowadays. There have become tools available in crowdfunding. Kickstarter and Indiegogo are some of the leading sites that allow you to put up an idea for a product you want to develop, and interested backers can come and pledge money in advance of receiving that product if they think that your product should be brought to market. And typically that's in exchange for a discount on the product or really being heavily involved in the development process for that product. So it's a way of bringing creators and backers closer together and shaping the future of commerce and I think what products are getting made in the modern economy.
So you guys had came up with this project, yourself and your partner, and you guys said, okay, we'll start this Kickstarter, and you launched this Kickstarter project on a Tuesday night. Tell me what happened next.
Yeah, so we had come up with this idea for an adjustable safety razor. So that means a classic safety razor that uses a traditional double-edged razor blade instead of cartridges. But the issue that I had and my co-founder had is that typically double-edged safety razors have been very challenging to use, and people who see them are typically concerned about cutting themselves, which modern cartridge companies have taught us to be very cautious of. So we thought it would be interesting to make a razor that was adjustable so that anyone with sensitive skin or coarse, curly facial hair or a longer beard could get a good shave. So we kind of put that idea up on Kickstarter. We didn't have an email list. We had no really existing customer base to speak of, but this was on as you said, a Tuesday night back in 2014. We had a goal of $12,000, so that's where you tell the Kickstarter community we need $12,000 to make this project a reality. I said it live. I went to bed and woke up the next morning with $18,000 raised.
This is the point where it can be either your greatest dream or your worst nightmare. It just amazes me. At what point did the Kickstarter project close out at?
So we let it run for 1 month of bringing in backers, and it actually ended up closing at $150,000 raised, which is obviously quite a significant boost for a business starting out. I was in the senior year of an environmental science degree and had to make a very quick decision on whether I'd be pursuing a job in that field or whether I'd be transitioning over to full-time working on Rockwell Razors. And I guess 2 years later we're having this conversation, so it's pretty obvious where my decision landed.
Yeah. So this is one of those things where you had I'm trying to figure out the math here. How many people roughly bought into this?
So the original Kickstarter campaign brought in about 2,500 backers.
Wow. Yeah, and this is all just in North America, or is this did it stretch out beyond there?
A number of our backers are from Canada and the United States, but our total backers came from 72 countries worldwide.
Wow! So this really caught a worldwide attention to you guys. Just a couple of college students. You're still in college at this point, trying to figure out, okay, how do we accomplish this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you very quickly have to realize that you've gone from presenting an idea to the world to having to deliver on that product that you've presented.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's where, as a senior in college, you start realizing there's a lot more that goes into launching a company than even your most conservative estimates had kind of indicated to you when you were founding the whole thing.
So what happened next?
Yeah, so we raised that $150,000 and we're ready to go into production. We partnered with a American manufacturing facility, actually from the Midwest, that we were really excited to go forward with, and so they produced their first round of product for us. We were still in college, so we still had our courses, and we wanted to automate the whole shipping process so that it would not be disruptive to our studies. So we actually had them ship the product from their facility to a third-party logistics warehouse who would send it out to our backers, and we didn't do necessarily lots and lots of quality checks on the razors personally. So the razors were shipped out to our backers from a manufacturing facility that had indicated to us that they could complete the project to the specifications of the product, and that's when so the razors ran out, and we started getting reviews online from the backers, and that's when we realized that we'd made a mistake.
How big of a mistake was it?
It was quite a significant error in blindly trusting overseas versus domestic manufacturing. And if Rockwell Razors has taught me anything, it's that, frankly, it doesn't matter where the manufacturer is from. It's always important to do those quality checks and that you're working with honest people. So what happened here, unfortunately, is that the product was not manufactured to spec. We were blindly trusting. And we ended up with a product that was not what was supposed to be manufactured. And the backers, about half the backers, received a product that was not what they'd pledged for.
What amazes me the most is that at that point, you guys could have taken the easy way out. You could have said, "Well, it just that's what it is." Instead, you guys took not only the honorable way out, it's been kind of an amazing thing. As I look across the internet, when I found out about you guys, I noticed everybody was raving not only about your product, but the professional way that you handled it. What did you guys have to do?
Yeah, so to kind of explain the situation concisely, once I realized that what we'd produced was not to my expectation and to my backers' expectation, we had frankly nearly run out of the funds raised from the Kickstarter campaign. So I looked at my options, decided that absolutely I would have to make it right with the backers. There was no other way that I'd kind of continue. So I took all of my personal savings, found a new manufacturer and an even more precise manufacturing method, still in the United States, and we moved forward with them. I pledged to every single backer that I would make it right and ship them a razor for free as a replacement from the razor that disappointed them. And in the end, I ended up sleeping on the manufacturer's floor for a few weeks at a time, just manually checking each and every single piece that came out of the manufacturer before assembling them into full razors and shipping every single backer from that campaign a fully free replacement razor.
This is such an interesting journey for you guys, and there is just so much out there. You've given just a brief glimpse at the huge story. What I'd like you to do, go ahead and give out the website where people can find out more about the razor, but also about this Kickstarter project, the whole long story, if you will.
Yeah, so if you actually Google how my Kickstarter blew up my life, I did write an article for VentureBeat, so you can read that article there. And our story is also on RockwellRazors.com.
That's RockwellRazors.com. This is Benjamin Rockwell. We'll be back with more Computer Talk Radio in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get computer hardware. It's not easy, as there are so many stores that have gone out of business, so many shady characters online, or they're simply not capable of handling diverse needs. In 1979, two guys got together and built a computer company that could serve your nerdy needs, Micro Center. The wide range of products at Micro Center includes even the latest of Raspberry Pi, Arduino, and other hobbyist-level computers. They also have drones. They've got them in all price categories, from toys to, oh boy. Look, you're looking for console gaming, home automation. Micro Center's got that. Hardware, software, accessories, or, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. From Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. Space, the final frontier. As we get ready for Star Trek to return to the small screen after a decade of absence, we also get to start looking forward to new dreamers, the men and women who dream of reaching beyond our atmosphere across the great expanse of space. The newest dream uses Pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center, a.k.a. the launch pad for the Apollo missions. A rocket will ascend to the skies from there, carrying about 100 people, weighing about as much as 50 bright yellow school buses. That's about 550 tons. This is going to be on a booster that's programmed to return, not as we've done for decades in our space program, with a tumble down and a splash in the sea, but as the Russians have, to a direct landing on terra firma, specifically at that same launch pad. From there, they will load on a second nose cone system. And in that second nose cone, that second payload that they're going to deliver to space is going to be the additional fuel needed, and then they will launch that to what is really the true spaceship up above. So we've got just this booster bringing the spaceship up, and then the fuel. And then after fueling up, the fuel tanker will return. So it's going to come back down, and also the booster. And then this spaceship will start across our solar system. And as it travels, large solar panels will extend and will provide 200 kilowatts of power, moving quickly at over 60,000 miles per hour. It will move towards its destination, and a few months later, the ship will arrive at the red planet named for the Roman god of war, Mars. This plan was put forward to us earlier this week. It was Tuesday by Elon Musk. Okay, he was at the International Aeronautical Congress. Nice fancy name, isn't it? It sounds really great. And it is really the right place to be talking about these spacey kind of things. You know the name Elon Musk because we've talked about him a number of times. He's the founder of PayPal. Well, okay, so he actually bought PayPal, but he's the big name behind PayPal. Tesla, yeah, the cars. Solar City, which is putting solar panels on a bunch of roofs all across the country. And, of course, SpaceX. And this right here, this actually may be the most serious option in the private sector for space travel. The plan is for this to all eventually become a commercial trip. This, as soon as they can, they're going to make this a commercial venture, and people will be launched to a new colony on Mars at the eventual cost of $200,000. Up right now, immediately, they're looking at $500,000. But considering the idea of a trip that goes around the world and it just lasts a few months, this is really truly one of the trips of a lifetime. And all of this, everything they're talking about is all reusable, and the fascination stimulates the brain just immensely. It's absolutely mind-boggling. And I'm really excited about all of this. However, there are a lot of problems that we've got ahead. There's a lot of things that may keep this from orbit. First, the largest rocket out there, the Saturn V, we haven't heard that name in a while. It only lifted 140 tons. Remember I said 550 tons. Yeah, and the Delta IV Heavy, that's the current payload delivery guy. It only lifts 28 tons. Again, 550 tons. This is going to be brand new territory for any of our space stuff. But then we move beyond that. The current largest payload to Mars so far has been the Curiosity rover, and that was just shy of 1 ton. Yeah, and it gets worse. 42 engines, all synced perfectly, or more perfectly than the Russians did with their 30-engine N-1 rockets. Yeah, they had only 30 engines, and they tried 4 times, and they never made it. This is also 100 people per trip, and there's a goal for 1 million people in the space colony for self-sustainment. Now, how do you feed 1,000 people with the average person needing a literal single ton of food in a year? Sure, we'll have to try growing food, but are we going to be taking soil with us? And then there's water. Yeah, that water is just a little minor issue. We can't go more than 3 days without water. And yeah, there's water on Mars, but we right now don't even know if we can get it. All we've had, of course, is the Curiosity rover just poking around and looking at stuff. Okay, we've had a few other little smaller rovers. And then we get into, psychological assessments, various diseases, the possible settlement issues on the other end. What if, this is going to completely tear apart the entire life insurance industry. Who's going to get a life insurance policy for someone who's going to Mars? And what of your family, your friends? And then entertainment. What happens when you get there? Where do you live? What do you eat? What are we doing about radiation? And Mars has lower gravity than what we've got here. What about exercise? What happens with an economy there? And big question, do you want to be on that first flight? Look, the spaceship is reusable and intended as a round trip. But then there's the 2 Falcon 9 failures, the most recent just merely a month ago. That's 2 of 26 launches so far, which resulted in a catastrophic failure. So even if you do make it to Mars, it could be a one-way trip, at least for a long while. At his current net worth of $10 billion, Elon Musk could probably fund this from his net worth based on he's saying it's going to be $10 billion. But to bring in a project like this with unknowns still in this planning stage, Elon's going to need a lot more cash. It's exciting. Don't get me wrong, it's exciting, but there's a lot left to come with this. I do suppose that John F. Kennedy had it right when he said we choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard. Well, we could get a lot of good stuff out of this. Keith M. Sedor is coming up next here on Computer Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Benjamin Rockwell. Most of us use digital cameras nowadays, but what do we do with those old pictures and slides in the back of the closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. If you have boxes of old slides, then you know they fade more and more each year. Let Legacy Digital scan them for you and stop the aging process dead in its tracks. You'll get beautiful 10-megapixel digital files, color-corrected and ready for printing. All this is done faster and cheaper than buying a film scanner and doing it yourself. Your files are then burned onto gold archival DVD discs where they will last for generations. Call right now, mention my name, Benjamin Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. And tell them Benjamin sent you. Your memories are priceless, so call 866-2-LEGACY now.
Keith M. Sedor is a Mac. Benjamin Rockwell is a PC. I think a fanboy fight is about to start.
The phone number, 888-NERD, 888, that's 888-637-3888. Any of your computer questions, if I can't answer them, Keith M. Sedor probably can. That, of course, means that Keith M. Sedor joins me now.
Yes, Benjamin, let's talk about the magnificence that is the brand new iPhone 7, specifically the iPhone 7 Plus, with its gorgeous and luxuriating dual cameras. So you can actually shoot wide.
All right. Enough.
Built-in telephoto lens for optical zoom, not just digital zoom, optical zoom.
Okay, so that would be wonderful for people who have a budget. But one of the things I wanted to know from you, though.
Yes.
What if people are cheapskates? No. Let's say they're being frugal. What kind of suggestions do you have for people who want to stick with the iPhone 6 for another year? They're waiting for the anniversary edition.
The 10th anniversary edition is the iPhone that a lot of people are waiting for, but it's still a speculation. We don't actually know if Apple's going to do an anniversary edition because next year is the 10th anniversary of the iPhone.
All right.
For those people who are on the fence as to whether or not they're going to buy the iPhone 7 this year and are thinking they would still like to get a little more mileage out of their iPhone 6, there's a number of things you can do. Some real easy, basic things. Clean it up. Just get rid of the things you don't need.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Separate the proverbial digital wheat from the chaff, if you will. Go through there. Look through all the pages upon pages of apps you probably have.
Oh, yeah.
And ask yourself, have I launched this app in more than a month? Have I launched this app in more than 90 days? And if the answer is no, toss it. You don't need it.
Interesting. Would you say one of the things I've suggested to people in the past for other things is wipe the computer clean, in this case wipe the iPhone clean, and then reinstall just the apps that you want?
Yes, that is an excellent advice, and that is actually one of the things on the list of ways to extend the life of your iPhone is to first do your normal iCloud backup that you would do.
Sure, yeah, of course, yeah.
And you can do that by going into the Settings app and then going into iCloud, scrolling down to Backup and hitting the Backup Now button, and then back up to iCloud and make sure you've got a complete and current backup of your iPhone as it stands now.
Okay.
Then take that one step further. I know Windows users can do this because there is a Windows version of iTunes.
Okay. All right.
But it's easier and better for Mac users because it's a total Apple ecosystem. When you connect your iPhone to your Mac, not only will iTunes open and want to synchronize your apps and your music and your movies and all your other digital content, including iBooks and audiobooks, but the Photos app will open and synchronize all of your photos between photos on your iPhone and photos on your computer. And then once you have every one of your pictures stored on your Mac, you can then go delete a lot of the extraneous ones. Because today, it's not like when we had film cameras back in the 80s when we had to take one picture and then go get it developed and hope it came out well. Now you can take the same picture 30 times, and we don't always take the time to clean out those extras.
The burst mode. You don't clean up any of it. Yeah, perfect.
And it's a cumulative effect over time. One little event of burst, not a big deal. But if you've been doing it for 2 years and all of a sudden you go into the usage under your settings and you're like, wow, 85% of my storage is being taken up by my photos. You clean that up, you're going to get a lot of life back right there.
Sure. What about people who have battery problems? They're not making it through the day with their full battery.
Well, if it's not an actual battery problem per se, and it's more of a battery draining thing, the first thing you want to look at is, are we using a lot of apps that are battery hogs? The Snapchat app and the Facebook app, these are apps that are continually updating, continually sending you notifications. If you can't live without them, obviously keep them. But if you can quit out of the apps, that's one way to do that throughout the day. Another big thing for cleaning up the device is getting rid of old texts. Because a lot of people don't realize in their usage, if you look in iMessage, people will see that iMessage is taking up gigabytes and gigabytes of data. Why? Well, we text friends pictures. We text friends attachments. We text people screenshots. And if you haven't deleted any of those conversations for weeks or months or even years, you'd be surprised how much of that gets filled up. And it's like, well, it's not in my photos. Mail is another one. If you have a lot of mail on your phone and you have a lot of attachments that come in your mail, that's another place that consumes a lot. So you can clean up old voicemails, old podcasts, because sometimes people don't always stream their podcasts. Sometimes they download them for listening later. They listen and they don't have it set to automatically delete after listening.
Sure.
Go in there and clean up those.
Yeah. What about cases and screen protectors? And you need to upgrade those?
Well, if you haven't already put one on, I'm a big proponent of the Invisible Shield by Zag. And I think a screen protector like that, coupled with case of your choice, that's a very subjective choice. That's a matter of personalization. But yes, I think everybody should have a case. But if you are also having battery problems that are not eliminated by monitoring your app usage and making sure you're not using power-hungry apps, I definitely think one of the battery cases like the Mophie Juice Pack, among others that are out there, that is an excellent way to go to breathe a little extra life into your aging iPhone 6.
So there is hope for people out there. If they want to continue with their iPhone 6, there's things they can do.
There is indeed, Benjamin.
Very cool. This is Benjamin Rockwell.
And I'm Keith M. Sedor.
He's, of course, available at mymacguru.com. I'll be back with more Computer Talk Radio in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and just a normal person. Recently, though, it was clear to me that it was time to upgrade, but I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After searching around for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when a 32-ounce soda would do. These guys know WordPress, Joomla, and regular standard websites. These guys at SiteGround are awesome. SiteGround.com. Site, S-I-T-E, ground.com. right. I have no idea if you're on Facebook or not. If you are, you can check out Facebook and our page there. We don't have anything on it yet. We're working on it, though. Facebook.com, however, has this ad that keeps popping up. It's going, hey, have you registered to vote? Hey, would you like to register to vote? If you've voted already, the only real obvious option, however, is to share that you're registered to vote. Let me say that again. That's the only obvious option. I looked very carefully, and in just a very slightly different color, there's that pull-down arrow, and you can go, don't show me this again. Here's the thing. Those two options, you can share or you can register. Now, knowing that Facebook is not only manipulating us politically, that's been the big, huge theme in the news recently, that Facebook and Google and the rest of them are doing their best to get a particular person elected to president. But moving even beyond that, beyond the manipulation, the fact that they're tracking us, whether it's Facebook or Google or Yahoo and all the rest of these, this concerns me. All of a sudden, now, I'm being tracked as being a voter if I say that I'm registered to vote. And they've already probably figured out my voting preferences, although maybe they haven't. If they've been going by what some of my friends have been saying to me, they think that I am a conservative, a very hardcore conservative, and the reality is I am more of a small L libertarian. What do I mean by a small L libertarian? Well, actually, it's more of a constitutionalist. It's a big, long, all kinds of different parties that fall in this area. But I believe in freedoms. I believe that we need to go to a distinctly smaller government. And that doesn't matter. Here's the issue. Facebook could be manipulating me in all kinds of different directions. They could be tracking me and trying to influence how I vote. I know that actually in the past few weeks, I have experienced an issue where people that I have unfollowed because they are particularly rabid in regards to who they want for president, and I'm talking some vicious stuff out there. Some very, it's bad. I've unfriended them, or not unfriended, unfollowed them, and they keep winding up back in my follow list. This concerns me. This entire manipulation of all of us concerns me. One can say that we're all being manipulated. We're all being shoved in one direction or another. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know at times how we should be handling this. All I know is that whether or not we vote for someone is none of somebody else's business. Our voting should be a private issue. Yes, we should all vote. We should all be taking part in the process. And one can easily say, if you don't vote, you are taking part in the process in a different way. You're deciding that you're not taking a choice, which leaves that up to others to decide how you will be both treated, judged, and everything else. So it just struck me the wrong way, I guess. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
Yeah, he's our favorite nerd. And now, with the quest of enriching your experience with computers, here's Benjamin Rockwell with Computer Talk Radio.
The website, ComputerTalkRadio.com, ComputerTalkRadio.com. The phone number, 888-NERD, 888. That's 888-6373-888. I am a computer nerd. I am here for you through thick and thin, through all of the computer problems that may happen to you or your kin. I feel like I'm singing a song. I have no idea what came over me there, but I figured I'd just throw that out there. So let's dive into the top computer skills that if you don't know, you should learn them immediately. If your kin doesn't know them, you should teach them these skills. I've been computing professionally now for way too long. 25 years as a professional, more than that, 26, 27 years, as long as I've been married, really. If we count that up, that just makes it easier for me. I've been an amateur since the late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there. So I understand computers and technology. And yet, throughout all of this, I want you to know that whenever I cover anything here, I want you to understand that I've been where you've been. I've taken a number of classes, and I've had to keep pace with technology myself. I want you to remember that, yes, I've gone through that learning process on all kinds of different software, all kinds of different things, just as you have and you will, or you might be going through right now. Now, there are top computer skills that I'm going to cover, and it is highly important that everybody learn these. These aren't in any particular order, and I don't want any of this to come out as a rant. This is just a starting place for everybody. And if you may be in the middle of some of these things, maybe you understand these, maybe some of these are just simply reminders. So don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Email. Most everyone has email these days, and it's still the top way of communicating via the computer. Still, We've got Facebook, we've got tweets, we've got all of this instant messaging and status updates and all that stuff. It exists. And they may threaten email someday. But right now, as it has been for ages and will be for a long time to come, personal messages, something that's a page long or more, it's email. Look, you need to know the basics on how to send an email, how to check your email, how to forward your email. But also you need to know some of these things like blind copy, carbon copy, forward. How do you use the address book? How do you come across as understanding and knowing email very well? And there's a lot of those things that don't type in all caps, don't use the grammar checker, stuff like that. We'll talk about that actually in a moment. Look, if you have no email skills in today's business market, then you're doomed for blue collar. But even beyond that, even at where I work, some of our blue collar workers are on email now because they have to be. That's how they're getting certain information from the bosses. If you don't know how to use email, go find someone. Find someone to show you how to get a Gmail account. It's free. Outlook.com account. It's free. Start learning it. Look into email etiquette. I talk about it every once in a while. Embrace this concept. Spelling, grammar checking. Look, these options are available anywhere where you can type more than a paragraph. Almost anywhere. Simply learn and embrace this technology. It's located in every Microsoft Office product. It's available in online email, whether you're talking Gmail, AOL, Mail, I think is still around, Yahoo, I think is gone to somebody else. I can't remember. Outlook.com. It's all covered there. So you can be safe and you can come across, well, a little bit more clearly whenever you're communicating. A simple tip for you universally throughout all of the applications these days is the red underline means it's misspelled. Another concept that you need to be aware of, copy and paste. Now, copy and paste has been in word processors since the very beginning, and it is actually stretched to pretty much every application available out there. In Windows, Control-C is for copy, and for whatever crazy, inexplicable reason, Control-V is for paste. Yeah, Control-V is right next to it. Maybe it looks like a little down arrow. I don't know. But copy and paste right next to each other. There are other keyboard options, but you should be using that Control-C, Control-V combination at least once per hour, and even more frequently when you're talking about emails, word processing, or even taking notes off of the internet. Right-clicking and choosing copy, right-clicking and choosing paste. That's also an option, but it's actually far slower, but it still works. Reboot. This is, oh man. Okay, some of the folks at my day job, they call me, this is my nickname, it's Reboot. It's because I ask that question frequently. And the usual response, and these are people who know better, is that they haven't rebooted. The reboot function is not a cure-all. It's not going to solve every problem, but if your computer is acting weird and you have already rebooted, then you've already taken that first step towards resolution. You've set that computer into that default state, and then you've tried it again. That concept of rebooting is simply powering your system down. You go start. Yeah, I know. You click on that icon down in the lower left-hand corner of the screen that has the Windows logo on it. And even okay, it's a bit different. It is a bit different in the Apple, but it still works. I know. I actually had to do that once recently when I was talking to Keith. We were setting up to record, and my system was just hanging up. It was just having a problem, and I rebooted. Yeah, I do it on a MacBook. So I rebooted that, and it solved the problems. Look, it's not going to cure everything, but we're going in the right direction. So reboot. Search functions. Like the search functions within a system. This isn't searching on Google. This isn't searching out on whatever DuckDuckGo or search engine on the internet that you're dealing with. There are search functions everywhere else. Don't get me wrong. You need to learn the search functions on Google. That'll help you out immensely. But I'm talking about search functions within your system. Within things like, yes, Microsoft Office. The computer is really good at searching, but you have to use that function to make it work. Control F, F3. Perhaps you have a little window in your taskbar that allows you to type in what you're searching for. Learn this. Embrace it. Leverage it. I use this function, this search function, throughout the day, constantly. Every year, I use that search function more and more and more. And part of this is because of disorganization. This is can be combined with the fact that we now retain more data on our hard drives than we used to retain in a well-stocked personal library. Of course, we're not going to be able to find some random quote in a book without some serious help, but we're going in that right direction there. Use that search function heavily. Seeking assistance, that's the next computer skill that you should learn. What do I do when I have a problem? Really, what do I do? When I have a problem, I ask for help. Look, I get in over my head once in a while. I've been doing this for decades. I'm on the phone with a tech support team somewhere in the world, somewhere out there, at least once a week. As, you know what, it's actually faster sometimes for me to shove off that work, that knowledge, to someone who's experienced with XYZ software than my going through and blindly troubleshooting it. There is nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing wrong with you asking for help. And lastly, politeness. This is a people issue, not a computer issue. But many folks out there frequently forget, because the computer's having problems, that their computer frustrations are not people frustrations. They get mad at the nerd or geek because their computer's having problems. Okay, let's look at your problems. It's a printer issue, and the printer is having issues because you threw it off the second-story balcony instead of calling for help. Don't yell at the computer guy. He's your knight in shining armor. If you let him be that. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time. theradiofactory.com.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. I hear so many different things, so many different reasons why this, that, or the other thing is having problems. And it really boils down to excuses. And please, I'm going to ask something of you. Think through when you are communicating with the nerds that are around you, the nerds that are in your life, because we've all heard a number of these different items that I'm going to talk to you about, and sometimes it kind of pains us, because really we do want we want your system to be working properly. We want to make sure that you are having a good experience with technology. You know, part of why we computer nerds got into the industry, why we like to help people, is because we want to encourage you in an area where we have passion, where we are, yes, we're sometimes overly obsessive. We go to that geek level where we are just over the top obsessive, and we want you and we expect you to know everything that we're talking about. The nerd thing, yeah, we slow down. We realize that, hey, we're not always going to bring the information, but we're going to try to give you the information that you need, and we'll work with you. We'll explain this out. So some of the different things that we've heard as computer nerds over the years, and it's okay, but we want you to think about this. One of the worst ones I've heard is, ever since you've fixed it, it's been like this. Wait a second. Since I fixed your computer, it's now printed out 2 pages every time instead of 1 page when you're printing out pages. Let's take a look at this. Let's find out what's going on. But that's usually associated with some sort of negativity. Ever since you fixed it, it's been like this. Okay. You don't blame your doctor. Oh, ever since I came in and you put me on this new medication, I've whatever it is. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe you do. Maybe you blame your mechanic. Yeah, ever since you changed the tires on my car, all of a sudden it's running rough. Well, we were nowhere near your engine. We were talking about tires. I don't know. I just turned it on and this happened. This is another one. I just turned on the computer and and things just started going crazy. Well, yeah, okay, it can happen like this, but usually computers have a cause and effect relationship. There's something you did, and that's why it broke. No offense. We understand this. It's called change management. We try to get to the root cause of the problem. We try to figure out. So just saying, I just turned it on and this happened, all of a sudden I turned it on and Internet Explorer never is stopped working. Well, did you use Internet Explorer yesterday? Well, no. What about the day before? Well, no. So you haven't used Internet Explorer for the last 2 days, but all of a sudden it's broken. But you want to say that it happened this morning? It could have happened a couple of days ago. Here's another one. This one, my kid was on my laptop last night. I don't know what he did with it, but now it won't boot up. Well, okay, company laptop. I've heard this a number of times, actually. A company laptop, and yet you're allowing your child to play with this. Is that the wisest use of company resources? Perhaps not, but we'll work with it. We'll try to figure it out. Perhaps we should involve the youth. Let's find out. Maybe they have an idea of what is going on. Here's another one. I don't know anything about computers. That's your job. Well, no, it's our job. All of us. We all need to work together to learn technology and utilize technology for both our jobs, but for our lives, for bettering our lives. I find it funny sometimes where we have people who can do all kinds of amazing things with their smartphone, but yet ask them how to underline a word in Microsoft Word. Nah, that's a difficult one. And yeah, okay, so I'm being a little cynical. I'm being a little negative, but I will tell you that every computer nerd out here has heard these before. I'm typing my password correctly. Let's try it again. Let's try it again without the caps lock. I can't tell you how many times I've walked out to people's desktops and they're typing in their password and it involves a number and they type in that number, but they don't realize that the numbers lock, yeah, over there with the keypad where the numbers are, yeah, the num lock is off. That's a common one for me. Here's another one. I know you told me not to do this, but when I did it, it crashed the system. Oh, I told you not to do that. It's like my son. I know you told me not to go there, but I did. And that's why you're in trouble. Look, at least you're sharing with us, though. At least you're telling us you did the wrong thing. I had a guy at work. He goes, I've got a problem. I've got a computer virus. I know I did this wrong. I am so embarrassed. He was apologetic for it. At least he was honest about it, I guess. And along with that, of course, it did tell him that he had a computer virus. And he goes, I know better. But I clicked on this thing, and next thing I know, all of a sudden, the computer is telling me I have a virus. But it wasn't until after I clicked on this pop-up that came up. Yeah, that pop-up that said you had a virus, it actually delivered the virus. There's always the fun one, too. I tried to fix it myself. Look, there are things you can fix. There are things that you will be able to understand how to resolve. But sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. It's one of those things where I want you to think about using a little bit of caution. Yeah, there are plenty of computer nerds out there, like myself, that you do something wrong on the systems that we provided you, and yeah, I will be able to undo it. I'm confident in that. But it's one of those things where sometimes if you know you're in over your head, then maybe backing away, maybe just stepping a little further back and just relaxing and calling us. I will tell you, most of us computer nerds, we don't mind being called. If we are being paid, if we are on the payroll, then we have very little problem with it. It's part of our job. We want to encounter some of these issues and resolve them before they become a really big, huge, major issue. I love dealing with minor issues. It means I don't have any major issues going on. Here's another excuse that we hear all the time. No one else is having this problem. I assure you, somewhere out there, someone else is having this problem. It all depends. You know, there are problems that we do experience. There are problems that we are going to have, that we're going to come across. And I will sit there and sometimes I will say, yeah, nobody else is having this problem in the entire world. The reality is someone else is. Some of the rarest items I've come across, some of the rarest issues I've dealt with, I've gone online and done my research, and yeah, there's like 50 different people having this exact same problem. 50 people out of, 7 billion. Yeah, it's very few people have this problem. But it's still a lot of people who've actually posted on this and have talked about this exact problem. Yeah. And then there's that whole, but it was working fine yesterday. I bet it was. But today is today, and something happened between then and now, and we have to decipher it. We have to psychoanalyze, if you will, your computer and find out what happened, what changed. It's actually becoming more and more a part of my job as a computer nerd, not to fix the problem, but to, fix whatever was changed. I have to decipher it. Yeah. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm constantly looking for the right place to get the things that are on my nerd wish list. It's not easy. There are so many stores that have gone out of business. There are so many shady characters online, or so many of them are just simply not capable of handling my needs in a one-stop shop. In 1979, two guys got together and built the brick-and-mortar company that could serve your tech needs. Of course, today, they've got an online presence, and it's called Micro Center. They've got tablets, iPad, yes, but also Android and Windows and all the accessories, too. They've got laptops, desktops, all-in-ones, Windows or Apple, of course, all covered here. Motherboards and processors, and okay, all right, who are we kidding? It's really everything to build your own PC. Keyboards, mice, surge protectors, software, tools, and thumb drives. Enough. Look, from Apple to Zyxel, Micro Center has what you're looking for. 25 stores across the nation, or you can check them out online at microcenter.com. That's microcenter.com. The website, computertalkradio.com. Computertalkradio.com. Marty Winston joins me now. Of course, he is the brain behind the 40-Year House. You can check that out online at 40yearhouse.com. And Marty, one of the things that occurred to me just this last week was you're doing all kinds of voltages. You're doing all kinds of different electrical things. AC is an easy concept, but a lot of folks don't have DC voltages running throughout their house. And there's crazy things that are involved with that, aren't there?
It does get more complicated than you'd think, yes. But then again, with DC running everywhere, you never, ever again need to worry about a dead battery.
Very true, yeah. But I seem to recall, now we're going back years ago since I've been dealing with DC voltages, but I seem to recall there's something in regards to long distances where DC voltages drop off.
Yes, it's for anybody who wants to look this up, it's ohmic, O-H-M-I-C.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, a long wire turned into a resistor. And the longer the wire, and also the thinner the wire, the more voltage drops when you go over distance. Now, the wiring that we've chosen for the house project is all 14 gauge.
Mm-hmm.
14 gauge isn't crazy thick, but it's fairly thick and can handle a lot of current. We need not one, but 3 voltages everywhere. And those are, and I'm talking about DC now.
Okay, so
those
what are
12 volts?
Yeah, go for it.
Those are 12 volts DC. 5 volts DC, and 3.3 volts DC.
Okay.
12 volts goes to a lot of common stuff that you see every day. Some of the things with warts want 12. Some of the things were originally built for cars want 12. Some of the things that need a little more juice than a USB connector will want 12. USB, mentioning that, is at 5 volts. And a lot of things that, like USB power, I can feed with 5 volts and just have to use a common connector to go to whatever the device wants to see.
Okay.
3.3 volts is often used in electronics, so some of the sensors and things we use will need 3.3, but also to use battery or 2 1.5-volt batteries can run just as easily over 3.3 volts. In fact, it's like having a very fresh new battery.
Yeah. So now, give me an idea. So you've got a number of different things throughout the house. What are some of the things that you've got running 12 volts, being more specific?
12 volts, part of it goes to lighting, part of it goes to control circuits. 12 volts is not used very much, which is surprising because you could do more with it because you're delivering more power.
Sure.
5 volts is used more than anything else.
Okay.
5 volts goes to the caps in the ceiling. 5 volts goes to a lot of the technology that stands alone in different places. 5 volts goes to all the Raspberry Pis.
Sure. Okay.
5 volts is just very common, and most of the time it's going over a USB connection. Now, we're not wiring it quite that way until we get to the end point, but it's going over USB. 3.3 volts goes to all of our EcoVent registers, and there are dozens of them.
Yeah.
Those have motorized curtains and a couple of sensors in them. They're designed to use either 2 or 4 batteries. When it uses 4 batteries, it's 2 pair in parallel, so it's never more than 3 volts or so. And we asked, and 3.3 will do very nicely, thank you. However, just to be clear to everybody, we are deliberately violating the warranty.
Yeah, I can imagine so. That's one of those crazy things which, you're talking about a product that runs on AA batteries or maybe C batteries or whatever. When you start rewiring all of those, I mean, in the EcoVent, I know that's AA's, but across the board, is there any real way for us to modify anything and not violate a warranty?
Probably not. Well, there might be. There might be. If you could create a fake battery
sure.
and just have the wiring come into that and have the same, anode and cathode connections, but why bother?
Sure. Wow. Now, with the 12 volt, you mentioned lighting. I'm presuming that's LED lighting?
There's nothing that lights up in this house that isn't either an LED fixture or a gas burner.
Okay. All right. So you basically... you've abandoned fluorescent, you've abandoned incandescent, so that really brings it down to nice and simple stuff.
I have also abandoned LED replacement bulbs. Fixtures have more than twice the lifetime of bulbs.
Yes, definitely. This is one of those things that just amazes me all the way along. Some of the different concepts. I'm struggling right now trying to do LED lighting throughout my own home, and there's places where there's just odd light bulbs around. I'm like, how am I going to solve that one? So, along with this, what are the struggles that you're having with these DC voltages?
Well, the biggest struggle is I'm having to learn how to crimp connectors into little custom things so I can do plug and unplug connections to DC. One of the challenges is finding a way to tap a low voltage wire without making a physical change on the wire, because if I use a blade to cut into the side to make connection, I'm changing the geometry, I'm changing the amount of current it can carry from then on.
Sure. Wow. Yeah, how many amps are we talking about as far as these voltages here?
Well, I'm not sure how many we'll actually use. I know my supplies for each voltage are going to be around 20 amps each in at least 6 or 7 places.
Oh, wow. So you're able to pretty much do a lot of this, I trust, with these voltages?
I think all. I mean, LED lighting fixtures, the fixtures themselves may require me, in fact, I know they require me to use an element called drivers. Mm-hmm. And in LED fixture lighting, a driver is a thing that takes 110 volts in and puts out whatever the fixture wants to see. Sometimes it's 12 volts, sometimes it's 34 volts. It all depends. And since I'm dealing with custom fixtures, I don't yet know what it's going to take.
Very true. This is Benjamin Rockwell. That is, of course, Marty Winston, the 40-Year House. Check out the website at 40yearhouse.com. This is Benjamin Rockwell. I'll be back in just a moment.
Hey guys, this is Benny Rockwell. Most of us use video cameras nowadays, but what about those old movie films in the back of your closet? Well, let me tell you about Legacy Digital Productions. They specialize in taking your old memories on film, videotape, and slides and digitizing them to DVDs. Imagine Grandpa's old 8mm and 16mm films that are just sitting in a box getting old and fading away. Legacy Digital will clean and recondition those films, capture them digitally frame by frame, and then produce beautiful DVDs of your precious memories on long-lasting, archive-quality discs. They don't use a projector, and your films can't be damaged in the process, the best available for families like yours. The final results are gorgeous. What better way to preserve those precious memories for future generations? Call right now, mention my name, Benny Rockwell, and receive a 30% discount on your order. Call toll-free 1-866-2-LEGACY. That's 1-866-2-LEGACY. 1-866-253-4229. And tell them Benny sent you. Your memories are priceless. So call 866-2-LEGACY now.
The website, computertalkradio.com, computertalkradio.com. Of course, go to the website and feel free to scroll on down and click on Contact Us. We will get back with you. And again, that's computertalkradio.com, where it says Contact Us. Steve Keske joins me now. And Steve, what is going on in your world these days?
Well, you know how things are. When I was way back when, about 20, 30 years ago, computers were gaining ground in business and now in homes and things on this order. And they said, hey, we predict that in 10 years you'll have a paperless world.
I remember hearing about the paperless society. We were talking about that. I remember that was a dream in the early mid 80s, early to mid 80s, and even today, as much as we've done where I work, we've got a document imaging solution. It's not paperless. We still have we buy a few cases of paper every month. Now,
of course, what brings me to that is this idea that this one car, not a manufacturer, but anyway, he is basically saying, and that is the CEO, that in 5 years, almost all of the rides they have in major cities will be by robot cars.
Yeah, the guy from Lyft was saying that. Yeah, and Uber is kind of presenting that same kind of concept. This idea of, somewhere along the way, I have no idea what it is, but the CEO of Uber, the founder of Uber, the founder of Lyft, one of these guys had a bad experience with a taxi driver or something, or maybe they wanted to be taxi drivers and somebody wouldn't hire them, so they built their own businesses. Whatever it is, but they really seem to be wanting to completely do away with anybody driving a car. And this is going to be interesting, very interesting.
It's never going to happen. Not even in a major city, it's not going to happen. Why? Because all of the stuff that has to be delivered to all of the businesses, the post office, all of the other, shall we say, vehicle-driven industries within a city. People driving cars, basically in a lot of the major cities, doesn't happen anyway.
Yeah.
Because parking's too expensive.
Yeah, this is one of those things where we're going to see these attempts to revolutionize driving, and the reality is we're noticing that we're still having accidents with driverless cars. Now, mind you, Google's had millions and millions of miles, and same with Tesla. And right now, there's only one at-fault accident. They are seeing a lot of other accidents. It's basically been somebody else's fault. I'm sorry, two at-faults. One of them was the car thought it could sneak past a bus. The other one was a unfortunate incident where the car didn't see a truck. But nothing can quite replace human. It's more than just intelligence. It's the adaptation to random circumstances. That idea of, what is that in the road? Oh, it's a cat. I don't need to crash into the oncoming truck to avoid the cat. I mean, okay, yes, sad that the cat dies, but
right. But it's better the cat dies than me.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, on top of that, driverless car buses, minibuses basically, it's about the same size as one of our shall we say, larger vans.
Yeah.
They are now driving around in Paris.
Yeah. Okay, I hadn't heard that.
Would you get on a bus that doesn't have a driver in Paris to go someplace?
I wouldn't. I'm struggling with that concept because, again, we're dealing with the idea of dealing with random. We're dealing with the idea of what can happen, and we tend to be more orderly about how we drive here. And everything I've seen about France has been just a matter of it's completely wild. Cars sneaking in where they, between two cars, there will be, a car will sneak through even though he's not supposed to fit there. And it's just everybody goes wherever they go.
But in the United States, the one big thing is we love our cars.
Yes, we do. It is.
We always have.
Yeah. We do wind up with various areas where there's or various circumstances where people don't utilize their own cars. They'll use mass transit, a subway, or
right.
a trolley or something like that, the bus system.
I spent about 4 years in England, and their mass transit system, trains and buses, are 10 times more prolific than they are in this country.
Yeah, and they still have cars there, tons of cars.
And they still have cars.
Oh, yeah, gridlock in London and all that. Jolly good. All right, this is Benjamin Rockwell. That's Steve Keske. I will be back with my closing comments in just a moment. Years ago, I found a web hosting company that fit my needs as a computer nerd, as a radio show host, and, well, a normal person. Recently, though, it became clear to me that it was time to upgrade. I had a choice between my old plan and the new one at 7 times the cost. It was that awkward point where I could choose between a sip of water or being dunked in a pool. I searched around, comparing the many options for someone like me. After looking for 3 weeks, there it was, SiteGround. In proper fashion, I tested their customer service, their knowledge, and their care, their willingness to do things the right way. The SiteGround salesman made sure that I didn't overbuy and get a 50-gallon bucket when all I needed was a 1-gallon bucket. The folks at SiteGround know WordPress, Joomla, and more. SiteGround.com. SITE ground.com for your web hosting needs. SiteGround. there is this famous television show. It is the most watched television show out there. At least for a couple of seasons there it was. It's called The Walking Dead. And I will tell you that I, Benjamin Rockwell, stumbled onto what I am convinced is the set of The Walking Dead. I was absolutely amazed. People were wandering around and they were walking aimlessly. They were bumping into things. They were just kind of dragging their feet and sauntering along, and they had their heads held down just a little bit. They were slunched over these things in their hands, and they were, cell phones. It never ceases to amaze me. People keep wandering around, and they're just walking along in zombie mode, just walking along, and it continually bugs me. This idea that we can go anywhere and we'll be just fine looking down and staring at our cell phones, our smartphones. And there was this item that I saw on the internet. It was a very touching post. You may have seen this. And there are these people that say, okay, yeah, I know that I'm not supposed to text and drive. But you know what? Nothing's happened to me yet so far. It's so tempting, though. It's just... it's only for a moment. It's only for just a brief moment. And then this woman comes along and meets them in this room that they're in. And it's, I don't know, a half dozen of these people. And in the end, we find out it's an advertisement for AT&T or Geico or somebody like that. I forget. But this entire concept it just has them blown away when she tells them, when she was in her car, she was hit by somebody who was texting and driving. And it's obvious that she has some long-lasting injuries. She's got a partial level of paralysis down one side. It's very hard for her to move one of her arms and legs, and she walks kind of funny. But the even deeper, darker thing is that she lost both of her parents in this exact same accident. And that's kind of a big wake-up call. And I suggest you look out there on the internet for this particular item. But let's move beyond this. I want you to think about this. Think about the repercussions of whatever you're going through. Share with people the potential repercussions of different experiences you have out there. You can do it softly. You can do it kindly. You can do it very well. I'm going to share with what you won. I almost ran into somebody the other day, and I would have won. Why? Because he was, I don't know, playing Pokemon Go or something like that while riding a bicycle with his elbows on the handlebars. His elbows were doing the driving, and he came within about a foot of my car as I was rounding the corner, and I saw him in my lane, and he would have done a header straight into me. Did he learn from the experience? No. He just continued driving on his bicycle, having just barely missed me. Yeah. This is Benjamin Rockwell. You're listening to Computer Talk Radio. We'll catch you next week.
Let me tell you about The Radio Factory, an exciting new venue for talk radio. It's the internet, the wave of the present. My name is Benjamin Rockwell, and I'm the host of a syndicated radio program, Computer Talk Radio. So I know the internet is here and now. Many of the hosts at theradiofactory.com have their own podcasts or radio shows across the country, but many people like the comfort of listening to their own special radio show at a specific time and day, much like we watch live television. The internet, as you're probably aware, is a powerful tool that allows the Radio Factory to deliver unique programming with far more variety than the windbags who are simply about contriving up viewpoints to get you riled up. Additionally, you'll find that many of the programs are shorter, giving more information in less time. Stick with theradiofactory.com and see how it evolves to keep you entertained, interested, informed, and above all, intelligent. After all, the Radio Factory motto is building your intelligence one talk show at a time.